Fellow St. Lucians, this is Open Mic. We are now starting the third segment of our program, and we're going to try to continue where we left off. Mr. Peters.
Yeah, but I do agree with what Dr. Damien Reeves, he has his doctorate now. I met him recently there, and we had a very long chat. I do agree with what he's saying, that there is indeed, we are too small to swim alone in this ocean. And there's need for that collective effort going forward. But the collective effort has to start here.
Correct.
We must be able to put ourselves together as a people.
And extend it.
And then extend it from
Correct.
there. Right? So even if St. Lucia, who is in fact one of the significant leaders in the OACS, I think it's important for us to show
take the lead.
and to show the lead in that particular regard. So
but
I do agree with that.
You made a very good point a while ago about dealing with issues before they become crises. The same way we have a problem today with a cash flow problem, okay? We all know, and we've been talking about it, about the water problem. And we know what has to be done, but we're doing nothing about it, okay? We have been talking and talking and talking. We have raised, the Labour government first raised the rates in their first term of office by 100%. They just rated by 66%. I am not saying that what we're paying for water today is exorbitant, but we have an increase. And the ordinary person on the street feels that once you have an increase, we should see a better level of service. Yeah. So we have a situation of the dam, okay? And we discussed that before, but can you highlight one more time a practical way of addressing the situation?
Yeah, well, I think Wasco has articulated, I think quite eloquently, the problems that they are facing in relation to the siltation that has occurred at the dam. My take on it is that there's a bit, let me not say dishonesty, but there's a bit of misinformation, first of all, that this is a cumulative effect over many years and was not an event that occurred as a result of Hurricane Thomas. And Hurricane Thomas was not the principal cause of what...
It was a contributor.
It was a contributor. And the build-up has been happening for a very long time, over several years. And the same way the build-up has been happening over several years, the desilting should follow the same manner. And what I am suggesting is that rather than looking at the desilting exercise as one more or less confined project, one defined project, in which you hear them talking about this massive project that they have to engage in, whatever the case may be, is that to look at it more as a maintenance issue and a periodic maintenance issue, in that whether it means in the investment in a small dredge, and you target over a period of years, maybe 4 or 5 years, in which you bring the levels in the dam to an acceptable level, and then you continue the program of maintenance of the dam once you have your dredges there. They have raised the issue about disposal, right? And I mean, I'm saying to you that there is technology. There's a product called a geotube, which allows that hydraulic mud, because when you're dredging, it will come out like a hydraulic mud. That mud goes into this geotube. It's a big tube.
Yeah.
And what happens is that the water comes out
and leaves the slush.
And leave the slush in there. And after a period of time, it dries up in there. You can cut the bag and remove
That seems like a long process, eh, John?
No, it doesn't take long. I mean, it doesn't take long to do.
How long does it? Let us say that we take out X thousand cubic meters of silt in a day, say a 24-hour day. How long after you put it in this tube would it take before you can take it away?
Well, I'm
not quite sure.
I'm not quite sure, but I will say to you that it will vary depending upon the amount of water and the type of silt that is there. But you know
what Wasco has indicated? That they can only do the desilting at certain times here, because when they desilt, they will disturb the water and it will affect the water going to the Cicero Dam. I don't know. What's your take on that?
Well, I think they have said that they would want to do They would want to do the works mainly in the rainy season, I believe it is, as against the dry season. And yes, there will be some turbidity increases because of the... but
The disturbance.
it depends on where you start.
Yeah.
It depends on where you start that dredging operation. If you
Because
started in
it's
the back,
at the back, yeah.
yeah, you may, and depending upon, you should be able to reduce on that level of turbidity that will come
What
down.
I thought should be done is that, you know, it's a serious problem. If we told the public, you know, once a week for 24 hours, we're going to lock off everything and we do this job. You know, I mean, 24 hours of good dredging, yeah, once a week, there are 52 weeks in the year. It can't hurt us to, it will, even though it doesn't reduce the amount of silt per se on the depth, but at least it will put a stall on the amount of the buildup. That's one way of looking at it. But that having been said, I don't think that's the only answer, because remember, the population is growing and our requirement for water is increasing all the time. We need to look at other areas. And you made a point to me some time ago that between, say, Vieux-Fort and Castries, okay, we have a beautiful road, and there's not that much infrastructure, not much building which have taken place along that road. And in the area where Le Paradis is, I understand they found quite a bit of water there that can be harnessed. Now, right now, for instance, you have places like Coconut Bay and in the Vieux-Fort area, we know that are suffering. So why can't we call in some sort of an organization? I mean, please don't go and borrow any more money. Let them do the drilling, let them organize it, and then work with WASCO where they can, WASCO can pay them so much for the water, because if you can provide the water, we already have relatively good communication, relatively good electricity in the area. That could help. I mean, we saw, it's unfortunate Le Paradis failed, but if Le Paradis had not failed, they would require the water, and that's hence the reason why they found that out. What is your take on that?
But as I was saying to you, development follows infrastructure, but it is the complete package of infrastructure.
Correct.
You need the telecommunication, you need your electricity, and you need your water also as part of the package, as well as your road network.
Right.
And if you look at what has happened in St. Lucia in terms of the road network and how it has impacted economic development,
Yeah.
I take the Bosseju Road as a classic example.
Yes.
The Bosseju Road going up to the stadium was done by WASCO when they were doing the Rodney Bay treatment facility.
I remember that.
I was there as the minister at the time. And I remember when we were cutting that road, it was bush, and in the back there was bush, pure bush in the back there.
I remember
mud,
that.
nobody was in the back, going in the back there.
Yeah.
But 20 years on, if you look at what has happened in that entire area, you have a stadium, you have significant housing developments, you have now a university up there, you have shops, you have a fire station, you have a school, the Rosalie Secondary School.
Correct, yeah.
When you collectively look at...
And the courts has a massive warehouse inside there,
right.
Other people.
Other people also.
Yeah.
So when you look at the economic activity from that little mile-and-a-half length of road that was developed, it's billions of dollars you're talking about, easily. The value of the houses, the value of the stadium, everything. Now, you take that as an example of how opening a road has created activity. The East Coast Road was done in the 1970s. The West Coast Road was improved in 1994. We finished the West Coast Road to Soufrière. You look now 20 years on the West Coast Road. Tika is the only activity of substance that has happened along the West Coast Road. You look on the East Coast Road, it has probably been there now for 40 years. Right? Le Paradis was the only thing that started some significance of economic activity along that entire road.
Yeah.
And in both cases, your major constraint has been water. When you're coming down the West Coast Road, from the time you stop at Canaries, not Ancillary, you have problems with water from there until you reach Canaries. You may get a little drip in between coming down the hill. Then when you leave there, you may get a little something coming up the hill to Soufriere, and then you're in drought conditions until you reach down to Soufriere. So a lot of the activities, and these are glorious areas of development, are frozen because of one resource that completes that infrastructural package. And the same thing happens on the East Coast Road, the same thing happens on the West Coast Road. And therefore, you know, water, well, I understand that the government is looking at that whole southeastern area, that's
Yes.
from Micoud going down, and looking at the whole water sector down there. But that is important, very important for national development. So something that should be looked at significantly.
Well, that's the other thing I want to say is that I was in the Vieux Fort area yesterday, and it was a Friday evening. I saw a fair amount of activity because it was a Friday. Normally people are buying and spending. And I also took a drive to St. Jude's Hospital, and I was very pleased to see that I was not allowed in, but on the outside it looked really nice. And I talked to some people in the area, and they said that the work was going ahead progressively, and that they, from what they saw, they feel by the end of the year it could be nearing completion. But that having been said, I understand the government has certain challenges because even when it's finished, the cost of running it is presenting a problem. Both the St. Jude's Hospital and the National Hospital. And I had discussed with you earlier on concerning what direction the government should take in those hospitals. The National Hospital in particular, they really need to bring in some sort of expertise, and not only expertise in the field of giving better service, but also people who can provide the funding to run the hospital. Because if you take places like India and Brazil, there's something called medical tourism, where people can come in and they can do all the highfalutin plastic surgery and that sort of thing, because we will need the money to run those hospitals. The Prime Minister, or if not the Prime Minister, the Ministry of Finance has indicated that they need some $50 million a year. Now, going back to what we discussed earlier with a cash flow problem, you know, it is going to present a real challenge to run those hospitals. When you see really what is even happening at Little Victoria Hospital, what is happening to a little what you call health center on the Chaussee Road, which desperately needs a coat of paint, and you have hundreds of people going there. So if you can't even keep that going, how are you going to keep two hospitals going in that? And I mean, and then you have to pay for moving out of St. Jude, out of the stadium. And incidentally, I drove by that stadium yesterday, and I was shocked to see the condition of the roof from the salt there. And as a matter of fact, I've been told that they've issued some sort of warnings or advice not to go under that roof. It's as bad as that.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just touch on the two things you're saying, because when it comes to our health infrastructure, I don't think any government in the Caribbean has ever attempted to build two hospitals at the same time. It's never happened.
Yeah.
And we have found ourselves in a situation where we are building two hospitals at the same time in a period of economic crisis.
Yeah.
And it is a significant challenge for the government, not only to finish it, but also
to operate
to commission it. To commission it first of all,
Yeah,
and to operate. So there are three challenges: one to finish, one to commission, and then one to operate. And looking at it now, we will have a totally refurbished and reconstructed St. Jude's. We would have a wellness center which is of significant size
Yes.
and quality. We would have a new national hospital that is of significant size and quality. And we will have Victoria that is also there. So we have 4 major health institutions on our hands
Yes.
that we have to maintain, 2 we have to commission, and to staff. That is a challenge that we have to face. And it's something that I believe that, you know, we really need to look at significantly as how we can use, as you said, alternative uses rate, or those corporations and those joint ventures in going forward with regards to the health sector.
This is Open Mic. We are now closing for our third segment, and we're coming back to our fourth and final segment. We'll be right back.